everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kieko.
I'm Kurt.
So it's been a while since we both did a video together, and this is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but because it is such a sensitive topic and we've kind of argued a lot about some of the points, now we are finally ready to talk about intercultural marriage and just the pros and cons. Some of you might be able to relate and some of you might be interested to know what it's like. So yeah, I've just made a few bullet points so that I can stay on track. So let's begin. So some of you might already know from our previous interview videos that we met in a bar. So I came to Hong Kong in 2019 as a model, and we met through a group of friends, local friends. I'm a bit different from the usual foreigners who tend to kind of find their own people, like expats or just people that they're comfortable with and speak English. But when I travel, I like to meet local people and just learn more about the
local culture.
Yeah, local culture. Yeah, I just find it very interesting because everyone is so different from me and what I'm used to. Okay, so what I realized about marrying someone in Hong Kong and marrying a Chinese person is that you're not just marrying your husband, you're basically marrying the whole family. Family is very, very important, and I'm not saying it's not important in the West, it is as well, but I think people here care more about their family and they stick together.
I feel like Western people is more independent after they grow, but I didn't mean that Chinese people are not independent, but at the same time they have really strong family culture, stick together, help each other.
Yeah.
Even in different traditional festival like Chinese New Year, Dongji, and everything is about family gathering, how to celebrate with your family. I think the only thing that you guys will have a big celebration as a family is Christmas.
We do see our family, that would be your mom, dad and siblings, but I feel like Chinese people tend to see their cousins if they're living here, or uncles and aunties, and just all your relatives are involved for big events like Chinese New Year. But yeah, personally for me, I only celebrated Christmas with my mom, dad and my brother. Basically
every festival, every holiday is about family gathering. Mid-Autumn Festival, Chinese New Year, even the Ancestor Day is all about how you whole family doing things. And I also just feel like everything's happening every month.
There's always something to celebrate here and everyone's always meeting each other, and if it's not an occasion, it's every Sunday is a family gathering. And a lot of people here live with the third generation, second generation.
Yeah.
It's they live with their grandparents and uncles and aunties sometimes, right? Yeah. Not everyone, but
we do spend a lot of time to get a balance of have our holiday, have our own time, and have our family time.
So I think with this situation, because I'm not used to having so many family gatherings and family bonding time, and I know that culturally most people do tend to see their family every single Sunday, and for me that was too much, and we did have a couple of arguments about it, only because I just wasn't aware of this culture and I also just wasn't used to it, and I think for him as well it's it's the norm, so then we just couldn't really understand each other. And now we've come to this agreement where I'm not going every Sunday, but I will try to go well, when I feel like it, or when it's like a special occasion like birthdays or, you know, anniversaries or something like that. But I wouldn't go every single Sunday because for me personally, I think like I want my own time. I want to have Sundays with just Kurt. Yeah, so we have kind of managed to negotiate our time. Okay, so this is one of like the biggest arguments we had. And I've spoken to so many people about this. I've spoken to locals and non-locals about like their thoughts on this. But it seems like children here, even when they grow into adults, they will kind of pay back their family for raising them. So they will try to give a certain amount each month to their family as like a thank you, or I don't know, just it's like a cultural thing.
We call it 家用, which is like the money that you gave to your parents to like have food, have dinner together, and like buying stuff.
And for me, in my mind, I was like, you know, our generation was so broke, we can't afford to buy a house, we can't afford to like live. How can we survive if like our savings is going to someone else? Like that's how I was thinking. And I think we did get in a lot of like heated arguments about this, because for me, I don't give my money to my parents or anyone, so I tend to save all my money. So if I'm working and I get a salary, I'll save as much as I can for the future. And then for Kurt, it's like he wasn't really saving much and giving money like, because you're like paying for rent, you're paying for all kinds of things, and then you're giving money to your parents. So then I was like, wait, what about, you know, what are you saving? So we did argue a lot about this, and have we sorted this out? Like kind of. Yeah, I mean, we do try to avoid talking about the money stuff because it is such a sensitive topic, but I think I've accepted it now. Like, I've accepted that this is just the way it is. But obviously when we are tight on spending, then I will be like, Kurt, we need to save money. Like, we don't have any money to spend. For like a Western person, I think it's very important for us to save for our future house, for our future kids.
That is the point that we just made at the beginning, like the family concept. Like all of this, like holiday money, doing stuff together is a cultural thing. For me, from my understanding of you, is like more independent, care about yourself more.
Because when I view family, it's like what I create on my own. It's like not really involving my parents. So I'm just thinking about, oh, there's me, my husband, and then my kids, and then my dog, and then my house. So like, that's all I think about. Over here, I think it's like family and relatives, it's like a forever thing. So they're always giving and taking from each other. And I guess they depend on each other a lot. So that's something that took me a very long time to accept and understand.
So another thing that I aware of is the like the social style. Basically, you guys have a lot of like body language, like physical touch. Like when you see friends, you might like have a hug, like shaking hand, or even like do the cheek things, right?
That's more European, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys like have more like physical touch. But the most thing that I think I will do is shake hand.
Yeah.
Obviously not hug and stuff. She already say that like I always act weird when her friend hug me.
Yeah,
because
you do. You're like a statue.
It's like it's not the thing that I used to. Physical touch is like quite obvious. It's a big difference. Western people have more. I guess it's the way that we raise. You guys have more confidence. I don't. I'm not represent all of the Chinese, but at least for me, for people around me, have less
body contact with each other.
Yeah, Chinese people is more like introvert and don't really show how they feel.
That's true. Like the way we express our emotions is very different compared to Hong Kong people. Like whenever I see my friends, there's no question, it's like hi and bye, there's always a hug involved.
You guys like so directly, like express your feelings, talk about what you want, what you don't want, like speak your mind really directly.
And that can sound quite blunt or offensive, so that's like another thing that we had to communicate with each other, that we're not being rude, we're just being quite assertive. Like the way British people speak is quite direct, blunt.
We're still working on it.
Yeah, we are.
Because like obviously my English is not like as perfect as the international people, so
yeah, that's the other topic that we're going to discuss, is like language barrier. It's very clear to me that the way I was raised is very different from the way Kurt was raised. I mean, I wouldn't say that I am totally Western because I am half Asian as well, and you would think that me being half Asian there would be similarities with Kurt being Asian, but I realized just the way Japanese people do things and the way Chinese people do things are totally different, and just the way we think and just mannerisms and all kinds of stuff is just totally different. So that is another issue that we had to go through.
So basically we have three culture like into each other.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that Japanese people are quite independent as well. We are kind of raised to do things by ourselves since a young age. Like, I don't know if you've seen videos of like young children in like kindergarten basically like cleaning their classroom and just doing everything by themselves, not relying on their parents. We try to grow, do things by ourselves, eventually kind of separate.
I agree that you guys is more independent. I think like Chinese people will be independent eventually when they have their own family, but at the same time they still have really strong connection with their family.
But then I feel like the older generation here, like your parents' age group, is that even though we're married and even if we have children, they kind of still expect us to be around, and then they will eventually take care of the children. So that mentality is very different from the way I think, because I can't like talk for everyone in the UK, but like personally I don't want someone else to take care of my children. I want to do it myself. I think a lot of people here, because they work, mums and dads tend to work, their option is to get the grandparents to take care of the kids. I mean, that happens in the West as well, but I think it happens way more here.
And also Hong Kong is not that big, so in Hong Kong basically even
you're like living next door.
Yeah.
Another thing here, which I mean, it doesn't apply to us, but after like talking to several people, it seems like when they get married they tend to find a house that's near the in-laws' house, which I kind of find too much. Yeah, like I've spoken to some married couples in Hong Kong and they're literally living like 5 minutes away from their mom and dad, and I'm like, whoa, because Hong Kong is already so small, so it's like you could live like 40 or 50 minutes away, but like why do you need to live like 5 minutes away? And then that way I feel like the parents can literally just keep going to your house. For me, I mean, that would be quite suffocating, but I think for you guys, you're so used to being around your parents that it doesn't even matter, like it doesn't bother you. Yeah, I think one of the issues is just like living in Hong Kong is expensive, and not everyone can afford to move out, so that's why the older generation and younger generation just tend to live together and stick together and buy like a bigger house together. Okay, so another thing that we definitely struggle with to this day is our language barrier. We definitely miscommunicate a lot of, well, we misunderstand each other a lot, and it's because obviously I don't know any Cantonese and you're not fluent in English, so Yeah, it's so hard to learn a language. Everyone's just like, oh, learn Cantonese, but it's like you have to realize I know English, I know Japanese, and then Cantonese will be my third language. I definitely need to go to school for that, and I'm not gonna suddenly become fluent in like 1 month. And also just the way people speak is different from what the writing form and the stuff you learned. So there's slang, there's Cantonese slang that people don't teach you. And I mean, I would love to be fluent and talk to you in Cantonese and argue in Cantonese, but I know it's going to take me a very long time until I start going to a class. As I said before, the way British people speak is very assertive, blunt, can be direct, witty, sarcastic. There's a lot of banter involved, and our humor is 100% different from the locals here. I might say something that will completely offend you, and then you might get very sensitive. He might say something that will offend me. It's like people here, I feel like they tend to like helping a lot and telling you what to do, and they think they're like helping. It's like a family thing. It's like everyone helps each other without asking. It's just
even stranger, even friend.
Yeah, they always just assume that you need help, and I think because of, you know, the Western people and our independence, it's like we want to do things ourselves. We want to learn from our mistakes, and we want to experience things on our own. So then there's that clash that we have, that we've resolved, because you tend to not help me as much as before.
I don't care.
You do care, but I think
but you still get affected by people around, like,
definitely.
like some strangers, some of my friends.
Over here there's a lot of assuming or stereotyping, like a girl is, you know, needs to be treated like a princess and needs to be taken care of like a baby. No, I think that's how it is over here. And then obviously, like, for me, I wasn't treated like a princess or like a little girl, so then I wouldn't want anyone to talk to me that way or treat me that way, because then I feel like I'm getting looked down on. So when I do speak to some people outside and they think they need to take care of me, then I do kind of get annoyed, and then I'll come back home to Kirk and be like, why do people do this?
We'll try more to understand each other, because we know each other longer now. We don't mean that way.
I think we're learning from each other. Like, every time we misunderstand each other, and now we're being more patient. It's like I might get heated up, but the next day I will ask, what did you mean by that? Or like is there a different way to say what you said?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I always use some word that I learned, like simple word. Like, for example, I say relax, and then you say, why you tell me relax?
Yeah, it's like every person in the West, you'll know, never tell someone to calm down, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how, like, we are. It's like, when someone's annoyed, don't tell them to calm down. But then obviously he doesn't know that, and he might say like calm down or chill or relax, and it's kind of like the wrong timing, so then it will make matters worse. I'm really trying my best to not take what he says so seriously.
We need much more time, like this much more process time
than normal
person communicate. Like, we might need to think like 5 more seconds for what actually she mean or I mean.
So another thing about language barrier is that when it comes to friends, it's so difficult to connect. For example, Kurt, he's local, he has a lot of local friends, and they don't speak any English. Well, they might know English from their secondary school, but that's literally it. And when they are talking in Cantonese, I don't understand what is going on. I have to assume the topic, I have to read body language in order to know what is happening, and he can't constantly translate for me because I want him to enjoy his time. So in the end, my only choice was to make my own friendship group. In the beginning, I did try my best to make friends with locals who can speak English, because then I thought that they can come and join us and then we can, you know, speak to each other, and I thought that might be fun. I realized in the end, as someone who is quite westernized, I actually prefer to hang out with British people or like Western people or European people. I definitely am more into Asian people, and I think that's because I'm mixed and I relate with like the BBCs and ABCs in Hong Kong. So yeah, I joined this app called Bumble. I know that's a dating app, but they have a friendship part of that app, and that's how I started to make friends with people here. I was very, very lonely in the beginning.
Basically, my friend and your friend is quite different.
Very.
We can hang out with each other friend.
Yes.
Like basically your friend, I know all of your friends basically, and I can like social with your friend also, like, but it's not my most comfortable friendship group of yours.
Yeah.
But we still can't like really blend into each other friendship group. It's really difficult.
Yeah, culturally we're just so different. It's like, even though my friends are Chinese, but they were raised in the UK, so just how they are is definitely different from the locals. I think like in the beginning a lot of people thought we were so sweet because I'm always with you, always take me everywhere with you, but that was literally because I didn't want to be lonely because I'm an extrovert, and he didn't want me to be lonely. So he'd rather take me rather than leaving me in the house by myself, like doing nothing. And also coming from overseas is like, I don't want to make friends with just anyone. I want to make good connections with people. So that's why it took me like around 3 to 4 years to finally find people who I can call friends.
People over 30 will like get more stress to be married.
Especially girls, right?
They think kind of late. Yeah, and especially for girl, when they over 30, they will feel a lot of pressure. The parents will pressure them.
Yeah, that's
people
the
around
thing.
will pressure them. Relatives will pressure them. Like even for guy, but guy I will say a bit like later.
Yeah.
I will say like maybe 35, 40. That will be like really stressful for them. But like obviously, for girl, I will say 30, they will like really need to think about marrying here. Otherwise, you will get a lot of pressure from everywhere.
Isn't there a name for like, they call it like leftovers or something? Like so rude, but...
I have a lot of different saying for girl. Yeah.
It's like, so rude.
攝租啦, 賣剩蔗, 籮底橙, some kind of that kind of stuff. It's basically it's like leftover stuff. But
yeah.
for guy over 30, they will call it 鑽石王老五, which is like diamond blah blah blah.
It's like different, right?
Yeah,
it's like the difference between men and women.
Yeah. Once you get married, they will ask you when you have children. Not just from your parents, but from relatives, from your friend, from your like colleague, everyone that will keep asking you.
I don't know how people here like deal with that, because I think I would just be like, shut up. Like I wouldn't be able to accept that and take it.
Like people here give their opinion a lot.
Okay, so finally I want to talk about food, because the way I cook and the way Kurt cooks is totally different, and I think I feel quite pressured because the standard for him is already so high. Like his dad is very, very good at cooking, and his dad will make like so many dishes, and I think that's also a Chinese thing, is like to have a lot of different dishes in front of you. Then you have like a bowl of rice, and then you have like different things you can eat. Obviously how I am, and with my laid-back personality, I like to just have one plate and maybe like 3 different things. and then it's done. Just in terms of like seasonings, and you know, I'm more to do with health and fitness. I still tend to eat quite plain, according to you. Like, he calls it like plain. For me, it's tasty. Okay, so I've tried my best to cover what I think is important in an intercultural marriage, just good things and bad things, pros and cons. Marrying a foreign person is definitely not easy. I think you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of reassurance, you need a lot of communication.
From our marriage, we grow up to like more listening to each other, understand to each other culture. Like basically we like know a culture through each other. Yeah, so we have like different, like more, how to say, different view, different point.
I mean, I've had to do a lot of research as well. Sometimes when I don't understand what's going on, I will like quickly Google like what is happening. Okay, so we're going to end the video here. It's definitely taken a long time for us to talk about this, and this is a very long video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and obviously if I've missed out on anything, or if you want to know more details, you can ask in the comment section. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Bye bye.
Bye bye.